Welcome back to Living Life to the Fullest, the space where we dive deep into personal awareness, mindset shifts, and creating the life you desire. I am May Eve, and today we're exploring something profoundly transformative, anchoring feel-good moments in order to level up your life. Imagine being able to capture those brief flashes of joy, those moments of clarity, confidence, and happiness, and intentionally using them to shift your mindset, your relationships, your career, and even your life trajectory. Imagine having the power to reset your emotional state whenever you choose, grounding yourself back into empowerment and clarity. That's exactly what today's episode is about. So take a deep breath, get comfy, and let's talk about this life-changing technique. Before we get into the practical step of emotional anchoring, let's talk about the psychology behind it. Why does anchoring work, and why do we struggle to celebrate our wins in the first place? So, anchoring is a concept from neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, and psychology that refers to the process of associating a specific emotional state with a physical or mental trigger. It's about creating a mental shortcut that allows you to bring back a desired state at will. Our minds function primarily through associative memory. Every experience you have is stored, not just cognitively, but emotionally and physiologically as well. Think of your emotional memory as a library where experiences are indexed, not just by what happened. Think about it this way. Have you ever heard a song from years ago and instantly felt transported back to that time? Maybe it was your high school graduation song, and suddenly you feel the emotions of that day, the excitement, nostalgia, even the scent of the air in that moment. That's anchoring in action. Your brain doesn't just store memories, it stores the emotional imprint of those memories. However, many of us unconsciously anchor negative feelings. The meeting room, for example, where we received criticism, might automatically trigger anxiety next time we enter it, or a particular person's tone might immediately make you defensive. Understanding this unconscious anchoring allows you to reclaim your emotional experiences consciously. But the best part? You can intentionally create feel-good anchors in your life. So think back of a time when a sound, a smell, a place immediately brought back strong emotions for you. Maybe it was perfume or a scent, or sometimes you can even taste it. What was it for you, and what emotions come up for you? Now, let's talk about why so many of us find it difficult to celebrate our wins. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to brush off compliments, downplay our achievements, or focus more on what went wrong rather than what went right? This comes down to a few psychological patterns. Number one, the negativity bias. The human brain is wired to detect threats more than rewards. This is a survival mechanism from our evolutionary past. Our ancestors had to be constantly aware of dangers in order to survive. While we no longer have to watch out for predators or being scared of being eaten alive, our brains are still hyper-focused on problems rather than victories. This means that unless we intentionally shift our focus, our brain will automatically highlight what's lacking rather than what's working. Over time, focusing on potential threats or failures become our automatic response, limiting our ability to recognize successes. So how often do you replay the things that went wrong in your mind versus the things that went right? And what do you think would shift if you consciously made space for your wins? The second psychological pattern that we see is fear of judgment and rejection. Many of us have subconscious beliefs that celebrating success makes us targets for criticism or rejection. This belief is often deeply rooted in childhood conditioning, where our achievements might have felt overlooked or invalidated. On top of that, many of us were raised with messages like, don't brag, stay humble, no one likes a show off, no one likes a know it all. While having a modest view of oneself is valuable, these messages often create a subconscious belief that acknowledging our wins is wrong, bad, or even selfish. But here's the truth: celebrating yourself is not arrogance, it's self respect and self care. When you downplay your achievements, you're actually reinforcing the belief that you don't deserve success. So, I would like to invite you to ask yourself, what messages about success, being polite, being modest, did you hear when you were growing up? And how do those messages still influence you today? The third psychological pattern we see is perfectionism and the not enough mindset. For those of us who tend to be perfectionists, nothing ever feels good enough to celebrate. We think, I could have done better, or I haven't reached my goal yet, so why celebrate? Or I will acknowledge it when it's perfect. Perfectionism often masks deep fears: fear of failure, rejection, judgment from others, inadequacy. We tell ourselves we will celebrate when everything is perfect, yet perfection is unattainable by design. So, what subconscious fears or beliefs prevent you from openly celebrating your accomplishments? How might your life, relationships, or career change if you openly acknowledged your achievements? So now that we understand why we struggle to celebrate, let's talk about how to rewire our minds to anchor feel-good experiences and shift our energy. Our brains form associations all the time between sights, sounds, emotions, and even physical sensations. When we repeatedly pair an experience with a strong emotional state, our brain creates a neural pathway that makes recalling that emotion easier and faster in the future. This is how habits and reflexes are formed. The more often we experience something while in a certain emotional state, the stronger that connection becomes. Over time, we can condition ourselves to access feel good emotions on demand. So let's do a little exercise right now. And I hope you're not on your way to someplace, somewhere, and see if you can find a comfortable place where you can be just for a minute, not get disturbed. And when you have the opportunity, see if you can stand still or sit down somewhere. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. And try to recall an empowering or joyful moment in your life. If you have that moment, now see if you can intensify this moment. Look around you. What do you see? Hear the sounds. And what feeling does this moment bring up for you? Where in your body do you feel it? Maybe it has a particular form, a particular color or sensation. Now create your anchor. Perhaps pressing your thumb and your full finger together, or taking a purposeful breath, or quietly saying a specific empowering word or phrase. Hold this anchor for several breaths so that you are reinforcing the connection. And when you've done that, you can come back to this moment, open your eyes. So when you practice this exercise regularly, soon your anchor will instantly shift your emotional state. So it will provide calmness, confidence, or empowerment when you need it most. And you can also do a little, if you have a journal at home, or you do a little writing exercise and write down like, which specific empowering states do you want to access more often? And what anchors will you create to consistently access these states? So the exercise we just did is what I call the replay and amplify technique. It walks you through the process in 5 steps. So step 1 is when something good happens, and you can do that actually in the present moment. When something good happens to you, pause for a moment and really feel it. Really feel what's happening in that moment. Then step 2 is replay the experience in your mind as if it's happening again. Step 3 is engaging your senses. So what do you see, hear, smell, or feel in that moment? And really zooming in on that feeling. Step 4 is saying thank you out loud or in your mind. And step 5 is mentally asking for more. So you can, in your out loud or in your mind, you can say more of this, please. So by doing this, you're reinforcing a pathway that makes it easier to access that feeling in the future. You can strengthen your anchors in 3 ways. One of the ways is repetition. So the more you reinforce the connection, the stronger it becomes. The second way is emotional intensity. So the stronger the emotional experience, the deeper the anchor. So really go into the feeling, expand it, zoom in on it, feel the intensity of it, expand on the feeling. And the third way is multisensory activation. So engage multiple senses. So visualize it, feel it in your body, and even add a sound or phrase to strengthen the association. In my program, I also talk about having a physical object that reminds you of this anchor. So, for example, if I want to strengthen an anchor that reminds me to soften, feel my feelings, and be present, I can wear a soft scarf. And every time I touch the soft scarf, I be reminded of that anchor. Or if I want to strengthen an anchor that makes me feel elegant, sexy, and powerful, I can hang a beautiful dress on the bedroom door, and every time I pass it, it activates that anchor. Anchors are very personal in the way that you decide what means. For me, maybe a beautiful dress would work to remind me of being powerful and elegant. For you, it's maybe a necklace, a bracelet, a beautiful little statue in your living room. It can be anything. It's just important that it works for you. But anchoring isn't just personal as in that it only affects you. It deeply affects the interactions with others in your daily life as well. So imagine approaching conversations, conflicts, or important decisions from a place of anchored emotional clarity and strength. So just imagine, how would your relationships transform if you approached conversations from a calm, anchored state? In what practical ways can you intentionally anchor feel-good emotions into your interactions at work or home or in your social circle? So when you anchor in those feel-good moments, you train your brain to expect more good things. And when you expect more good things, you naturally attract more into your life. Speaking of making space for more good things, in our next episode, we will be talking about decluttering your life to make space for what you want. We're not just talking about physical decluttering. We will dive into mental, emotional, and even relational clutter that could be holding you back. So you really don't want to miss the next episode. If you loved today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one. Take a screenshot, share it on your stories, and tag me. I am on Instagram at the 180 degrees turnaround. So 180 is written in numbers, so 180. And if you found this valuable, leave a quick review. It really helps spread this message to more amazing listeners like yourself. Until next time, keep shining, keep celebrating, and keep creating the life you desire.